When looking at this, it tells us a person amortizes a loan of $170,000, aka they take out a loan, $170,000, by obtaining a 20-year mortgage at 7.5% compounded monthly. We would like to find a couple different things. One, if you're going to take this loan out, what's your monthly payment going to be? Also, how much interest are you going to pay over the length of the loan? And how much principal is remaining after 5 years? So the beginning of this is very much similar to what we've been doing in our TVM solver. If we take out a loan of $170,000, one big difference. This is our present value, but we're taking this money out right now. So is that going to be a negative number or a positive number? It's a positive number because the bank is giving me this money. So I'm going to start with my present value being $170,000. Okay. We also know we are compounding monthly, so PY, CY should both be 12, not 11, 12. All right. N is 20 years compounded monthly. So for us, this is going to be N is 12 times 20. I'm not necessarily going to do that. I'm just going to say 12 times 20. My interest rate on this one is 7.5%. Okay. So the easiest thing to find for this is going to be your payments. Now, think about a mortgage. You've taken out a loan of $170,000 and you're paying it back over 20 years. At the end, what is your future value?
Negative.
0. Because why? You've paid off your loan. Yes? So I'm going to make my future value 0. And I am going to solve for my monthly payment. Now, your monthly payment, if we have taken money out, how is your monthly payment going to show up? As a positive or a negative number? Negative, because you're paying that money to the bank over the month, yes? So alpha, enter. Okay, so just based off my $170,000 loan, I have monthly payments of $1,369.51. Now, whether you can do this or not on the internet, these things tend to usually end up being a little bit of a shock if you think about the actual money in this. That's not a very expensive house loan, especially not right now. Not getting a house for $170,000, right? And that's a big payment a month. Total interest charges. Total interest charges is the amount that you pay in interest over the length of the loan. This is also usually shocking to us. So what we can do with this, we can do this one of two ways. We already have all of the information in the TVM solver for us, right? And it's going to use this information. But remember how we do the effective and nominal rate, but it's not in here? It's in the regular calculator part. We're going to do that same thing here. So we are going to quit out of this and make sure that we have a clear screen here before we go find total interest charges. So total interest charges is also in the same area of that effective and nominal, but it will use all the information we've already typed in. So if I go into finance and I scroll down, total interest charges is going to be this one. That first symbol there, it's like that Greek letter sigma. It's the summation sign, okay? So this is under finance if you scroll down. Okay, what this is asking me for is the sum of all of my interest. Okay, so it's essentially saying over the length of whatever this is, we are going to take and we are going to sum up our interest charges from one payment to one payment. So you could ask for the interest charges in the first 10 payments, and you would say 0 to 10. You could say the interest in the 10th to 20th payments, which I don't know why you'd want that information, but you know what, there it is. In this particular case, we're going to enter in payment 0, or it might be 1, I got to see which one works, out to the final payment. Think back to what we just put in our solver. How many payments were there total Or what gave me that in my solver?
240.
240, the N. There's 240 payments because it's monthly for 20 years. So we're going out the whole way to the 240th payment. Okay? So what we're going to do is when that's highlighted, hit enter, and we're going to go, I think it is payment 1. Use payment 1, not 0. There is no 0 payment. It might give me an error. So from payment 1 to payment 240, the whole way through, okay, it will come out as a negative number because this is what you are paying over the length of the loan. So how much are we paying in interest charges here? Almost $160,000. On what kind of loan? $170,000. So what does that really say to us? I get, yeah, it's a lot of money. $158,682.02. So if you compare that to the actual loan you took out, total, you're going to pay almost double what you took out in the loan over the length of the loan.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Isn't it? Yeah. Interest rates are good right now. They're not 7.5%. They're lower. However, the loans are a lot higher. So, yeah. So loans are good tools if you can get them right, is the right answer to that. So the other formulas we need to learn how to do is the principal. How much principal is remaining? What's that? Do we all feel poor right now? We're never going to own houses. Oh, I know. Seriously, when I first looked into buying a house, and now granted, we bought our house in 2009, which won't mean anything to y'all, but it was like the low end of the housing marketplace when the interest rates were super low, and you could buy any house for like half the price that it is now. And so I'm just thanking the good Lord that I bought a house then, not now. Because no. When we bought our house, the people had already sold their other one and moved into a second, or had already bought a second one, and were paying for both of them at the same time. So they really just wanted to get rid of this one. It's good timing. But anyway, so that was ours. But for this one, we already got that payment. We got this over the length of 2. Okay, so principal remaining after 5 years. There's always a little bit of thought that we have to put into this. So we said when we entered this whole thing, we are compounding monthly. So that means you're making payments when?
Once a month.
Once a month. Okay, so how many payments have you made in 5 years? 60 payments. Yes? Okay. So there's going to be a little math you have to just do in your head or on your calculator there to make sure you know how many payments we're talking. So if we want to find the principal remaining after 60 payments, the first thing we have to do is find the principal we've paid in 60 payments. And so this is the other command that you may have seen on the way to the sum of the interest. So if I go back into my finance app and I scroll back down to where I found the sum of my interest, I can also find one that is the sum of the principal, which is this one. Not that. Okay, go down to the sum of, it says PRN. If this would respond a little bit faster to me, it would work great. That one. So when we are doing this, we are going to find the sum of PRN, that's the principal, okay, over the first 60 payments. Okay, so we're going to do 1 out to 60 in our calculator. So if I get rid of this, we're going to use that command in our calculator. We're going to do the sum of the principal from payment 1 to payment 60. So it's part of the same application. So the programming in the calculator pulls the numbers from the solver. It's weird, but it does work that way, which is nice.
So we'll only have those type of questions with part A, part B.
Yeah, we'll have to enter all the information for like part A typically. Usually the first thing is always find that monthly payment.
And
Then
is that the same as the nominal one?
that one does not use that, no. Those you have to enter in your own commands. Yep. So what this tells me is over the first 5 years, I have paid $22,266 of my principal of my loan. Okay. So that's of that $170,000, that's how much I've actually paid back. The rest of what I've paid during that time was interest. This doesn't actually answer the question though, does it? I want the principal remaining. So what do I have to do? I have to take my $170,000 and subtract what I have already paid. Okay? So from that $170,000, I have how much remaining to pay. Anyone get a number on that one? Well, that's what I've paid. So to see, okay, so $147,000, 733. If we do to the cents, 33.74, 757. Okay, there we go. All right. So now loans tend to be the same thing. So we'll just do a couple different ones where they ask the question a little bit differently, but mainly the solving is the same. Okay? It's not too bad as far as they go. So we look at the next one. This time we have a $150,000 loan for 20 years. This one is equal semi-annual payments, which means every how often? Every 6 months, every 2 times a year? Yep. So in my finance app here, my solver, we have taken out a loan for $150,000. Semi-annual payments tells me my PY and CY are 2. 8%, and it's 20 years. So what's my N? 40. 8%, 40 years, or 40 payments, I guess, is truly what it is. All right, so the first thing I want to find is the semi-annual payments. So what am I solving for? Payment, PMT. So alpha, enter. This one, the payments are a lot higher, but it's because you're only making them twice a year. Okay, so this is why it would be different for that. So this time I have payments of $7,578.52. But we're only making those twice a year. All right, so if I want to find the interest in the first payment, how is this different than what we did on the previous page? That one we did the interest in all the payments. So we said sum of interest from 1 out to 240. So we can do sum of interest from 1 to 1. And that will just give us the interest in that one payment. Okay, so see if you can find your commands to do the sum of interest formula quick. All right, so we enter the sum of interest from 1 to 1. We get our first interest payment is $6,000. So just to kind of compare, what was our answer for part A? 7578 point something. So out of your first payment, $6,000 of that payment is just towards interest because they're going to get their interest first. That's how they calculate these payments for you. You will pay more interest in the first couple years than your principal. Then only out of that payment, about $1,578 ends up being actually towards your loan. You're going to pay a lot more in interest first, okay? So similar way of doing it for part C. If I want to know the principal repaid in the first payment, I can really do one of two things. I just kind of talked through that. If $6,000 of your payment is interest, how do you find out how much is principal? You can just subtract. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, what else could you use? Yeah, we could do the sum of the principal from 1 to 1. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. So if I go and I do my calculator, let's just say I didn't think about that, and I do the sum of my principal in the first payment would be 1 to 1. I get $1,578.52, which not coincidentally, is the subtraction of these two. Yeah, it was 7578 minus 6,000, same amount there. Okay, so what you're not paying in interest is truly the principal payment there. 1578.52. Okay. So we have all of our information in here. We would like to find our monthly payment. Therefore, we solve for PMT. $1,019.24 is our monthly payment. Good enough? Feel like we could do some of these on our own? Good. Perfect.